Hey Brick Bloggeteers, Will here, and today we're going to look at not one but two new BrickHeadz. And as you can see in front of me, I got Donald Duck. He's not new. But one thing that you might have thought of, well, at least I did, is when he came out, there's a lot more ducks in the Disney family. Where are they? Well, thankfully, their first set is 40476 Daisy Duck. That's Donald's love interest and can often keep him better in check. She is the more level-headed of the two. Unfortunately, they didn't go with her dress design. Instead, they went with her more classic lavender top with the large bow on top. And if you look at underneath, she actually has large pink shoes, which is different than Donald because Donald actually had wedges to do his web feet. So it is nice that they gave her shoes big enough to actually support the size of her feet if they were exposed. So that is Daisy Duck. She's a pretty simple model to build. There's not a lot of complexity in it. The things to note are probably some of the printing. On her shirt at the top with the V-neck is a 1x4 brick. And one thing I really like above the printed eyes is the 1x4 tile that makes her lashes. Because if you know anything about classic female characters in Disney, they made sure that the ladies had eyelashes. So it's neat to see that they're actually printed in so they look nice and they're not a weird build out of some eyelashes that might have looked rather hideous. Well, I said there was a lot of ducks, and this is only one other duck. So where are the rest of them? That gives us set 40477, Scrooge Mcduck, Huey Duck, Dewey Duck, and Louie Duck. The whole DuckTales gang. In fact, the box for the BrickHeadz is actually labeled DuckTales. I really hope that means that they're going to be doing more of this because I wouldn't mind seeing Launchpad, Gyro, Mrs. Beakley, Webagal, Wordsworth, and even Gizmo Duck. Please, Gizmo Duck. Out of all of these, the one of note is Scrooge Mcduck. He's a lot more involved in his build because he is the bigger one. But you got his top hat, his little spectacles that come out, the little excess feathering on the sides of his cheeks. It also has the red stripe around his shirt. And one thing I absolutely love is on his feet. It might be a little hard to see. Let me pull them off. They've actually built spats over his webbed feet. By having a different size wedge. So he was the first one you build and absolutely the funnest. Because as much as I like the boys, they're color swap. And that's about it. So once you've built one, you've built them all in terms of the actual pieces. So one thing I did to challenge myself is I just had all the parts out, built all three of them at the same time. That helped a little bit. Or you can, do a little something in terms of trying to build them in different ways. Because I know that's one way Lego actually freshens up a BrickHead, is they won't start with the front to back or back to front. They'll turn it upside down and turn it all over which way. So that's something you can do. They don't come with any sort of accessories, but they do look pretty good. I think the only thing is when you get to this size, what they have to sacrifice on is like the bills of the hats. They're very square up front. One thing I didn't care too much for is how they did the feet. They still gave them the web feet for being ducks, but because it doesn't go beyond this 1x2 brick, it just kind of looks a little funny. Overall, that's not a big complaint. They still, well, pair well together. They all have their little tail feathers, so they all have the duck qualities that you expect from the rest of the ducks in the BrickHeadz line. And it is nice to get actual 4 figures from a single set rather than 1, 2, or even 3. So this is going to be one of the more ambitious projects. And I know I had plenty of nostalgia for these because I grew up in the 90s watching the original DuckTales. And since they've remade them, that's where we got probably a little bit more character out of the boys. So this definitely looks like it's based on the original 90s because it was very hard to tell the boys apart since they didn't really develop a characteristic that each of them followed. So this is more 90s DuckTales. But if that interests you, that's the 2 BrickHeadz sets. We got the Daisy Duck, we've got Scrooge and the boys. This one's definitely a $10 set. This one, I'm actually not sure about the price because this is the first time we've seen, well, 4 figures. So I think 20 on up, probably maybe a $25 price tag on them might be reasonable. They should be coming out fairly soon. We'll see. But if any of that interests you, again, set 40476 for Daisy Duck, 40477 for the DuckTales crew with Scrooge and the boys. And that's DuckTales and the Ducks and Daisy. I like them.